we're so happy to have you on with us today because this movie is so cool. This is not something that we saw coming, and you got to be excited to unveil this to the world, right? Because this is something totally different than we're used to seeing from you guys, right?
Good. We are excited. We can't wait. We're very proud of the film. You know, we work very hard on it. We've been with audiences who've seen it, and we know it connects, and we know they enjoy it. So it's going to be amazing when it's just on the platform and anyone can come and walk through those doors at Netflix and just see it. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's a certain magic, as you know, when you get on a set and just things are working and everything's firing on all cylinders. What was that day for each of you when you're just looking around the set, be like, this is how I pictured it. This is good.
Well, the film blends so many different things because there's incredible comedy to it. It's deeply emotional and affecting an issue that's on all our minds with the opioid crisis. So there's something really, a real depth and emotionality to it. There's a criminal conspiracy, so it's thrilling, and there's all this different stuff coming at you. And weirdly, the moment for me was when we were shooting in the middle of the night, a night shoot in this really crap. I think it might have been a motel that was already condemned and kind of shut down and now only used for filming. And Brian Darcy James is singing. He's closing time. He's this doctor, this really tragic, sad figure who's got some hope now because Emily Blunt has batted her eyelashes at him and is luring him into into her world to prescribe this drug. And Brian goes on stage and is just drunk and is singing closing time at the top of his voice and doing take after take. And so all of a sudden there's this musical element on top of the thrill and the comedy and the drama. And I just was like, we're really making something that's truly, truly different and original from anything I've ever seen before.
And how about for you, David?
Very good. For me, it's in the modern Xana offices where we put these crazy characters, and we deliberately found an office environment that was super sleek, super posh, with sort of concrete floors. And there was Andy Garcia and Emily Blunt, and sort of like the absurdity of these tiny figures in this epic space. They just made the biggest IPO of the year, and they were crooks and sort of pretending to be business people. And I love that contrast and that contradiction between these tiny people who were all doing something dodgy and illegal in this extraordinary palace of a corporate office. And that's when I thought, that's really fun. We're telling a big story here about corporate excess and greed. And the architects of it, you wouldn't trust with anything. And here they are in this sort of crazy big place where people play table tennis, and there are aquariums, and Andy Garcia loses it and starts to ask everyone to take their shoes off. And that's when I thought, this is fun. This is kind of definitely out there in a good way.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are expert storytellers, and everything we get from you, we really enjoy it. And they're all so unique. And people look up to you and they think, this is what I want to do, but certainly harder than it looks. What advice would each of you give to somebody that's crazy enough to want to go down this path and follow in your footsteps?
Gosh, I would say the most important thing is stay true to the stories you really want to tell. Don't try and tell other people's stories. Tell the stories that mean something to you. Because in any art form, if it's music or poetry or you're painting something, authenticity is where the real value lies. And to be as true as possible in conveying your experience or your sort of thoughtful, interrogated perspective on that experience is crucial. So I would say stay true to yourself and stay true to the story that you want to tell. Don't try and tell someone else's story. Tell the story that means something profoundly to you, and people will respond.
Well said. And Lawrence?
Oh, I guess I would probably say to have the courage of your convictions in sticking to what you think is original and what you think is distinct, and not succumb to what you might think the market wants or what might get made. If you are passionate about something, stick to that passion, because you're going to be able to engender passion in the people around you.
Mm-hmm. And you must have had so much fun. Did you just have a wild reign that you're able to play with in this?
Pretty much. I mean, we had it's a journey. It's always fun to do a character's journey from rags to riches, as it were. So we had that sort of, fun palette to play with, especially with Emily's character. And so we built it on, starting from the bottom up to her ascent, and then who she is as a real person. So it was a great, it was a great experience that way for me, and just to collaborate with her, Chris, and Catherine O'Hara and everybody on just getting it right in a world that was real enough, but that had a little bit of sense of sort of dramatic fun to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this, people have been looking up to you for years and thinking, that's what I want to do. This looks like the best job ever. And sometimes it is, but it is hard. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
I'd say the best advice I could give to anybody is, no matter what job you have, if you have a job on a movie or a thing, it doesn't have to be in your department. Just do a great job and learn from everything going on around you, and then speak to the people that you'd like to be around after you examine it all, and and be on time and behave yourself and keep your mouth shut and do a good job, and you'll have a great life.
I love that. Well, a part of it is that success mindset that we talk about on the show, that you have to not only get in what you do, but stay in what you do. Is there something that you keep in mind that keeps you on the right path even when things are hard?
I think I'm not a person that goes into a panic mode. I'm a Libra, so maybe the balance thing comes into play. But I think that my motto always in design and the things I do is always try to have a second choice, if in the back of your head, and don't be afraid if somebody doesn't like something. Move on. Don't just keep boo-hooing because you didn't get what you want. You have to be able to be flexible and have more than one good idea in a day, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, last thing, what do you think you'll always remember about working on this film? Is there a certain day, scene, or time where you're just looking at it and go, this is how I pictured it?
I think that probably the day that we went to the school was a really interesting day, just dramatically on the film. And I don't know why it stuck with me particularly, but it was like kind of this sort of happy, sad moment in the story, when even somebody that's come from great disadvantage to be able to have her daughter go to this school, and the person turns around and sort of doubles up on her on the financials, is just like, you're just like work so hard to get to a place, and then suddenly it's like, oh, you're not in that place really. You just, as far as you know from your life, you're in it, but then suddenly the other shoe drops. And I think that's a really pivotal kind of story moment for me, and it was interesting, to see the world that we were in and how it played out.
Absolutely. Well, we love the film and we loved your work on it. So thank you so much for being with us today. And we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right. Thank you.